Hello there, and welcome to the Rogue Podcast, a Star Wars show. This week we have myself, John McKeever, David Hilaritas, and CJ Jones. We will be discussing Chapter 4 of the Book of Boba Fett, also known as The Gathering Storm. Let's just dive right into it. Let's talk about what we thought about this episode. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 94%. That's the consensus critics ranking, which I think is the highest of the 4 episodes, unless the finale
I think
got a higher rating.
Did 2 dip a little bit then? Because 2 was
not the finale,
pretty high.
I mean, the first episode called the pilot, that's the word I'm looking for, was 82. Episode 2 was
probably lower.
89.
89. So this is the highest of the 4 so far. I wonder what 3 was. Let's see if it's as bad as we thought it was. 67.
That's what the one I was talking about.
Sounds about right.
So a lot of fans so far have said that this was their second favorite to episode 2, which I still liked episode 2. I really did. But I thought this episode was better, even though Boba Fett didn't fire a single blaster shot in this episode. There definitely some things that are still pros or cons to me and pros, but without any further ado, let's dive into the episode. So first takes, you fellas, what did you guys think of this episode?
There's a lot of cool things that happened, like seeing the Sarlacc pit up close and personal, which we really have, other than Jedi, we've never really seen. Mm-hmm. So that I really liked that.
Got seeing the charge again.
The basement of the
Jabba's
palace was kind of
cool. That was really cool.
I feel like he could have gotten the ship out a little better than like 3-point or 6-point turning that thing and then running running down.
It was like that scene. What movie is that where he just like is backing? It's the one with what's it called? The Spy
Kids?
Oh, Get Smart.
No, not Get Smart.
Agent Cody Banks.
No, it's classic.
James
Bond. It is a classic.
It's a comedy spy movie. He's from England.
Johnny English?
No, not Johnny English. Shoot.
We're not going to move on until we remember it. Well, who's the actor?
Wait, hold on. What's it about?
It's the guy who's like, how about $1 million?
Austin Powers.
Yes,
Austin
thank
Powers.
you, Austin.
I haven't even seen it.
He's in that little like electric cart and just keeps backing up.
Oh yeah, I've seen that shot. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
That's what I was thinking. That'd be a funny meme if someone's like non-spoiler review.
Well, if you want to go viral, go ahead.
I don't know how you describe that movie without saying, "Yeah, baby."
Well, that's what I was trying to think of. I couldn't get there. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. That was pretty cool to see some of that stuff. Anything else? Initial thoughts,
CJ?
I liked how they planned out the raid on Jabba's palace, and they showed the whole the 3D image of the palace. That was
Fallen Order style.
Yeah, that had me really
excited.
It
did. It looked like a Fallen Order map. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I even saw some criticism of the probe droid. They're like, for a stealth droid, it sure was very bright, like with all the red lights and stuff.
I mean, it was like the size of a golf ball or a baseball, maybe.
I did not have a complaint about that.
Yeah,
no.
You're looking for something to complain about.
I feel like people just are always looking for something to complain about nowadays. But
I thought at first that the heist or the retrieval was going to be the whole episode, and I was kind of like, I really hope. That was kind of my first vibe. I really hope this whole episode isn't him getting his shit back.
Yeah,
because I want a little more than that, and we got a little more than that.
So do you think that in this episode, I mean, this is 5 years later, which I did like about this. We're caught up now in the dream sequences. It appears to me that he lived with the Tuskens for like 5 years, right? Before they were wiped out.
I'm still kind of confused on the timing.
Yeah.
So here's how my understanding is. He was in the Sarlacc pit for a few days at most.
By the end of Return of the Jedi, he's out.
Yes.
With the Tuskens for sure.
I mean, there's no way you could, even with the Beskar. I mean, you just couldn't breathe. I mean, I doubt his oxygen
drink.
Yeah, I doubt his oxygen suit had much air in there for him. And I mean, the first thing that he did is, I don't know, he even woke up because lack of oxygen, whatever it may be. But the first thing he did is get oxygen from that stormtrooper. So he goes and he does that. And then it looks like he's taken by the Tuskens right away. I mean, who knows? He could have been like on the stand for a couple of days, but we're talking mere days since that point. So we know that by the time he shows up in The Mandalorian, it's been 6 years. Well, if I'm going to choose to believe one of two things, here are the two options. Either he was with the Tuskens for 5 years-ish, maybe a little bit more. Then the Tuskens were killed off, and all the things that we saw happen, the bike and train scene and the Tuskens being wiped out and stuff, it would appear to me that happened after 5 years of the Tuskens. And to me, that explains a lot more why he has changed so much. His whole purpose in life for the last 5 years has been being a Tusken Raider. And now he's part of this tribe, this family. He's a different person. And it just makes a lot more sense then as to why he is this totally different Boba Fett than what we've known before. And explains a lot of his behaviors because we've had 5 years for him to change. If he was only there for a few days or a few weeks, like it kind of seemed he was there, and then he spent 5 years roaming the desert, then the reason or him changing so much dramatically doesn't make as much sense. But if he was there for 5 years living as a Tusken, he's going to be a changed man. And then the last little bit of time was him roaming around the desert for a little while, finding Fennec Shand and getting his ship back. So I think that last bit happened very quickly. And then the first 3 episodes flashbacks spanned 5 years.
That would make a lot of sense. And all it would take is for him to give one sentence of like, in one of the next 3 episodes, he says one thing in passing of
5 years.
Yeah, like I was
spent 5 years at Tuskens.
Yeah. Or what if there's a lot of speculation that the female Tusken fighter survived. So if they're reunited, he could say something like, I haven't seen you for like 2 years or a year or whatever.
Yeah.
Which would mean that for the bulk of that
So
time period, he was with them.
That's what I'm choosing to believe, because I think it fits the story best. And I think that's kind of what they've hinted at.
Yeah, it really does.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
I agree, but if that is the case, not communicating that well in the first 2 episodes, I think is a poor choice, because watching it doesn't. There's no way that seems like 5 years. I don't know. There's no way to like figure that out.
Yeah, it definitely felt like he was there for a very small amount of time.
Maybe 2 months at most, I think.
Well, it's just like you're reading a book and a whole chapter's gone, and you're like, I know I'm missing.
It's like a whole.
I don't know why.
Half the book.
Yeah. I mean, you could dive deep into each flashback and say, all right, maybe he was tied to the chain and he was a prisoner for months. six months.
Yeah.
And we just saw snippets of each time. Then he was kind of a helper for maybe another 6 months, or each flashback could be a 6-month time frame, and that could do it.
Yeah, I mean, we know what we know about the Tuskens.
You need to tell us. We don't need to. We shouldn't be speculating about this. We should be speculating like, oh, what is, or talking about like, what does his vision mean? What about, why is he flashing back to Camino all the time?
Mm-hmm.
What's he gonna do when he finds out about how the galaxy's changed?
Yeah.
Does he care?
Yeah, I mean, what does he know? What doesn't he know about the Empire and everything? Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like that was an interesting choice that they took to explain all that. But it was very exciting to me when they were sitting, him and his bantha on the sand dunes, and we see the flares go up. I was like, I know those flares.
It took about a couple seconds for me to be like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that he's about to find Fennec Shand, which it's just cool. Is Fennec Shand my favorite character in the world? I mean, I don't dislike her. I like her, I would say. I don't dislike her at all. But just to know that, seeing it being connected to the Mandalorian just was exciting, because we all loved that show so much. And the thing that probably got me most excited in this show so far was seeing something outside of the show. It says a lot about the show to me, which is a bummer because Boba Fett has arguably always been one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character in Star Wars. So
Evidently they had, I believe, Boba the Mando theme playing when he walked up to her. I didn't catch it because it
very
was
faintly.
3 a.m.
my
when I was
roommate
watching
caught
it,
it.
but
I was
I
really,
caught it at
really
the end, but not.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It was very clear at the end.
I just remembered that when we watched that, I was so dogmatic saying it was Boba Fett, and everyone was like, no, it's not. And I was like, dude, there's no reason they put the sound of spurs of some dude walking in sand, which you wouldn't hear.
That's what I did notice though, is they didn't have that sound.
They did. It was muffled.
Did they?
It was still there.
Okay.
Yeah. Because as I watched the second time, I went back and
Okay.
listened again. I'm like, all right, let me listen for spurs. And you could hear it. It just wasn't as accentuated as it was in The Mandalorian, but you could still hear it, which is weird because he's wearing like cloth boots and a robe.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you're like,
Yeah, he
yeah,
didn't.
But
Well,
you can hear it.
I mean,
Maybe
that
he
was
had some spurs on while he was riding his bantha.
that was the one thing he did keep from his jumpsuit was his boots.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So maybe he still wore them.
didn't take off his shoes to get oxygen. This plays out.
What else? Okay, so I do think that we are at the end of the flashbacks or flashbackas, as some people are calling them. I don't think we're
like
gonna
that.
see it. I don't think we're gonna see it much more. Because as he gets out this last time, his droid tells him that he is finally fully healed. So hopefully that means we'll also see full strength Boba Fett going forward.
Yeah.
It felt like a video game where you beat or you start the final story in Assassin's Creed, the first one, especially when you get the health upgrade every time and they say you have a new weapon. It's like your health is full.
Well, I mean, that was like the
was
Mandalorian
cool.
for a while. He kept getting different power-ups as he went along
True.
in the game. And it's like, here's a
True,
new piece of armor, and oh, here are some whistling birds. Here's a jetpack. It's like, okay.
These are cool. Here's a ship. Now you don't have a ship.
What about the whole? Let's talk about one thing I thought was kind of silly. Him chasing around that rat catcher droid.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool to see it in live action
Yeah,
because it was from Clone Wars.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
good,
first
good.
saw that model on the Blue Shadow virus episodes. And
To be fair, Ahsoka had trouble catching it.
it's true, and it's
So
fine.
it is
He
a
has trouble
squirrely
catching
little droid.
it. I'm like, man, is this show? Is this what this is going to be? Is this going to be a kid's show?
Yeah, just
Like
shoot
Tom and
You
Jerry.
really don't. You really don't want to
Well-
just admit it that that's what it's going to be, do you?
No, I understand not shooting it because you're trying to be stealthy.
Yeah.
But like it was right there, and like they walk up behind it to like try to intimidate a droid or something. It's like, dude, just grab it and break it. Like
Yeah,
they let
destroy
it
it.
walk in. It's dumb. And then it's like running through the fire and stuff, and he's like, "Fast little bugger." It's like, what? Why? Whose decision was this?
Yeah, it was terrible writing.
Why did nobody stop him?
and just like bad acting too? But it was like, how could you do that?
What can you do?
Like, how it was like
He's literally chasing nothing around, or someone with the green tennis ball
Yeah.
is moving it like, all right, it's gonna go here, and you
yeah.
can tell he's
Whacking
trying his
behind
best to trace it. Yeah.
I'd be like, look, man, I'm not doing this crap. This is stupid.
Like, come on, man.
Like, no. This is now what we are spending 5 minutes of our
It
show.
literally had me thinking of Scooby-Doo when they would like go in a door and they would pop out like on the first floor and nobody could like catch each other.
Yeah.
And then like the bad guy and then they would pop out at the same door as the bad guy. And
and then he turns around like,
yep.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I watching?
Well, and like it all happens. So the droid starts running, and Fennec goes, "I'll watch the door." And she just walks away and says, "Here, you go chase this thing around." Like, I just like
Same,
dumb.
same Fennec, same. I'd watch this
Uh,
old man go around.
Oh, it was silly. It was silly.
Uh,
But it's one con, even though I did like this episode, I felt the story of this episode was much more interesting. But a con of it is Boba's still having everyone do everything for him. Even when they get the ship, they run up and he
doesn't fire a single
doesn't
bullet.
fire a single shot at any of the guards. He just runs up into the ship like an old man, and she's fighting off tons and tons of people. It's like, oh, I want to watch Boba Fett. This is the Book of Boba Fett. Please let me watch him kill some people.
Yeah, I don't know.
Our
why
hero cannot kill people, Jacob. Our hero
Yeah.
cannot do that.
real.
Yeah.
Well,
I just don't know. I don't get why they're almost like making it seem like he's not like competent enough to fight until he's
Yes.
full health and he has his armor. I'm just like, what?
True.
Like,
That's appears
what
to
is
be
this,
the
a video
message.
game?
Mhm. Like, I don't know, and I just feel like Boba should be able to fight even through everything, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, sure, he might not be able to be full strength and beat Black Chrysanthemum by himself, but can he still not be a bad guy, a bad dude? You know, I want to see him do some cool stuff.
or somewhat competent.
I mean, the highlight of this episode for me was one of the coolest scenes I've seen in Star Wars in a long time, which was him bringing the Slave One, also known as his Spitfire gunship, which he
Fire spray.
Thank you. His fire spray gunship, which he so intentionally had given to him to say.
I can imagine he was probably like, "What? Just let me say the name. Come on."
But when he flies down on those speeders, I was like, it was such a cool shot. You see it coming out of the horizon and just wiping
so
it
far in the
out
distance. Yeah.
with absolutely no mercy. I mean, no negotiation. And then the overkill of there being one ship left or one speeder left is like missile time. it was awesome to see.
Actually, I was like, yeah,
charge.
Wow. Just lava seismic.
I wonder how much did that missile cost Boba when he could just shot it with a blaster?
It's like, oh, there's 10,000 credits.
Doesn't matter.
Guy just wanted to see something blow up. But then same thing later, like someone doing something for him again. Sarlacc pit. There he is sitting in the pit looking for his armor that was taken off of him by the Ewoks or Jawas.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. CJ, can you think of any reason as to why he would think that it was in the Sarlacc still?
I'm gonna be honest, I got confused something and that he had actually left it there because I was like, wait, I thought he came out with it. But I guess he was kind of delirious, but
for sure.
He has to remember not taking off his armor and the acidic stomach. Like he even said, the Beskar protected me from the acid.
So then you took it off?
That means that you didn't take it off.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he thinks that like, I mean, if we're trying to say, let's save this, because I just don't know if the writers put that much thought into it. Perhaps he thinks that, you know, he climbed out of the pit and he doesn't remember anything after that. Maybe he thought he took it off of him or the Tuskens took it off of him or something.
And because it was
so covered in acid and it, you know, fell back in, or it is a Sarlacc. It has all these arms that pull things in. It's within its reach. Maybe he thought that it pulled the armor back in. So I suppose that could be the thought process.
It's plausible. It's just, it seems unlikely. He had to remember because he was able to use his mind to get out of the pit.
Mm-hmm.
So,
although, you know, he was only conscious for like a second with the whole Jawa thing, because they take off his helmet, and it's when they take off his helmet that he wakes up, and as soon as he wakes up, they knock him out again.
Yeah,
so
he's not remembering any of that.
He probably just doesn't remember it.
And
yeah,
I guess,
which is weird because, you know, this whole stuff, whenever we see then, is his flashbacks of his memory. So, but we must not be seeing an exact recount of what he remembers in his mind, you know, which is odd.
Yeah.
So I think they have to do that, because if he knew that the Jawas had it and he had the Slave One ship, then he would have gone from Jawa to Jawa, and it wouldn't have taken him a year or two to find that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
he would have found it eventually. So maybe that's the way that they wrote that into the story. I guess that would have to be what they were trying to accomplish. Let's see. What else? Anything else in the flashback you guys want to cover? He did address, you know, his character change and why he is going to become the daimyo of Mos Espa is that he's sick of working for other people and almost getting killed for making other people money when they are idiots about it. He said idiot 3 times, which I don't really know if that fit in Star Wars, but it seemed out of place to me.
Yeah,
but anyways,
he probably could have used some sort of, you know, like bantha fodder or nerf herder. Well,
nerf herder.
I don't know if that would have fit. But anyways, he does explain it. And while I'm personally not happy with the decision that Disney made to turn him into this person. I do feel that the story has given me enough of a reason to see how it happened. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You mean to where you'll watch the rest of it?
Well, I mean, I'm
or-
still gonna watch. No matter what, I would watch
Yeah.
it. It's Star Wars. I'm gonna watch it. But like, I feel like the first 3 episodes, I was just like, why is this Boba Fett? This isn't Boba Fett. This isn't who he is. This is not how he would act in these situations. But now, given the history of him having 5 years spent with the Tuskens and his time saying, I need to have a tribe. I'm sick of working by myself just for money. I want to have a purpose. I want to be a part of a family, more or less. I'm just done living this life. I've seen the motivation and the reason and the time required to make that kind of life-changing decision. It makes enough sense to me now where I can say, okay, this is plausible. This can be who he is because of the experiences he's gone through. I would rather those experiences not have happened so that this isn't who he had to become, because these aren't the decisions I would have made had I been writing the show. But at least now in the story, it's given me a reason to see why this is who he's become. Whereas before, it was all off screen and I didn't really have that kind of evidence of this happening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you couldn't
Yeah.
connect with the character.
I think that it helps, but one thing I was thinking is, well, the first thing is this story would work a lot better with someone that's not Boba Fett. I think, like, I don't mind the writing or the general
Yes,
direction that they're
agreed.
kind of making it. It just is kind of weird for this specific Star Wars character. But the other thing is that it's not set up well. The way that they have it written, and I kind of said this before, but they start with the change, and then they have the flashbacks that make you, like, I thought they were just to catch us up to where we are in the show, but they're actually meant to show us change, and you don't really realize that until it's there, and it makes it kind of acceptable. Whereas if they had established before the flashbacks that this is what they're trying to show you, I think it would have been a more satisfying reveal to, like, okay, now I finally get it. But it just seemed like he was randomly changed. And now we're finding out, oh, so like this is why. I guess that's okay. Emotionally, I think it doesn't set you up to like succeed.
Yeah, it would make a lot more sense. I agree. If it was not someone that we already knew so much about and had drawn our own opinions of who this character was, you know, from all the comics and other stories, video games, movies, we kind of had this vision of who Boba Fett was. Well, it wasn't very fleshed out on screen. We all knew who this guy was. So to see him as someone else without context as to why he changed, they didn't give it to us early enough. I think that's why some people were really upset.
The another thing is his character in the second season of Mandalorian, and like kind of even like in gunning down those speeders, is it's almost different than what the change is now, and that happened after the Tusken Raiders like got massacred.
And that's
so
what
there's
happens
still
when
kind
you
of a disconnect.
Yeah, I agree, because who we saw in
Like,
the
present
Mandalorian,
time.
yeah, is different than who we see now, which, like you said, is after. So
Yeah.
if that's just really two different people writing two different stories and not really saying we need to be consistent.
But
Yeah.
But Robert Rodriguez, I guess he didn't write that episode, but he directed the episode.
Yeah.
So that was his vision for Boba.
Well, I think he also
Which doesn't
was
make
having his
sense.
hand held much more in that episode as
Think
well.
so?
And then on this, he was probably left more to do what he wanted. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But it also seems Jon Favreau had a lot to do with this as well. But I don't think Dave
Yeah.
Filoni had as much to do with it as he has in The Mandalorian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seems like every time Dave Filoni stops touching Star Wars, it falls apart. But no, I mean, I should say both. That's falling apart. I still like this. Okay, let's go ahead and discuss the present time stuff. There wasn't much, but he wakes up and he is fully healed. And he's angry still and saying, I need to make an appearance. We know that the Pikes are coming, ready for war, and that this could break out at any time. But some interesting stuff does happen in a little bit of time we spend in present day. He decides to go get in his armor, and him and Fennec Shand are going to tour around the city just to have their face be seen and their presence be known. the mods, as they call them. Oh, that's one thing we didn't address. We did see the mods out on the borderline of Mos Eisley, or the border.
Espa.
Or was it Mos Espa? No, they said Mos Eisley.
Did they?
Yeah, it was the mods on the outskirts of Mos Eisley. Fixed up Fennec Shan, which we saw her modified stomach.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That scene was unnecessary to me.
It was kind of cool.
Yeah, it wasn't awful, but it does kind of help explain the Power Rangers a little bit to me.
People are saying
Yeah.
that to excuse it, and I don't buy it.
I still don't like it. I don't want
I don't
it.
need that. I don't need that episode 3 to understand how these people work. If
Oh, no,
anything, these
not at
people
all.
are much, and if anything, the modders are much cooler if we don't have episode 3, because it's like, oh shoot, like all they do is mod people, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
they fixed up Fennec. Like, I want to know more about them, so then maybe you have episode 3 after you kind of.
Yeah, if it was the other way around, it would have
And
made more
roads.
sense. Like if we had seen these people first and then saw the scooter gang, it would have made a little more sense, and not have been such of a ugh. But it just appears we have this other culture developing on Mos Eisley. Like if I were to try to justify this in my head, which I want to like Star Wars, so I try to think of ways that I can say, okay, that's okay. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
If these are like, say that guy who's the modifier, Thundercat, so he's like a composer or something, musical composer.
Oh yeah. Yep.
If he's like some guy from the inner city of Coruscant, who, maybe really messed up some people with his modifications and was
yeah.
sent to the Outer Rim, and he's on the run, and he's brought his culture of the inner or lower level Coruscant to Mos Eisley, and now he's starting to get some of the youths that are sick of farming for water and stuff, and he started this little subculture on Mos Espa. Okay, it starts to make a little bit of sense. Now I understand why we have these flashy colors. They're like, hey, Coruscant is the most happening city in town or in the galaxy.
We want
Let's
to be that.
want to be like that, just like some country kid who wants to move to LA, So
Yeah.
it makes a little bit more sense. I can try to rationalize some of these decisions and see, okay, these kids are out of place. They want to be something that they're not, or they don't want to be who their parents were and just live on a dust ball and die, So it can kind of make sense a little bit. Why they chose to have the slowest form of transportation in the galaxy, I will not understand.
That's
cool.
the cool part of Coruscant is the slow
And the slow speeders.
transportation.
But those would belong on Coruscant to me. It's a very densely populated area. If you're going to stay on the ground, you can't travel very quickly. So you need to take, maybe if you don't want to walk, you can take these scooters. I don't know. But that kind of explains itself for me. So I didn't hate that scene. And it was interesting to see him, modifying humans. That's something we've really seen a ton of in Star Wars, even though we see cyborgs all over the place. So I thought that was kind of cool. But we get to present day, and those mods, as Fennec called them, are scanning the streets looking for pikes and looking for all kinds of people. And they go to a bar, the same bar that the Twi'lek owned earlier, and we see Black Chrysanthemum, and he is just drinking there, and he is cranky. And I really like
that
this
scene was so cool.
Yeah,
with the
yeah, I mean-
shots and stuff, because the panning up and like the dude's eyes looking all around and being so expressive was.
This was so much better than the
Awesome.
fight that they had with Boba in the palace.
Yeah.
It was so much better. I don't know if they had a different director this episode, but
They
you'd
sh-
imagine they had.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh, she always
So-
delivers.
Yep.
She is the one writing the Mandalorian or Obi-Wan
Oh.
show, right?
Rogue One.
No.
Oh no, you're right. It's
You know what's
Deborah
you know what's
Chow.
funny
Deborah
about
Chow.
what about that fight though? Those trained oceans,
We're way too short.
they were way too short, and gosh, I did not like the padding they had in them.
Yeah,
Where
kind of chubby.
padding
on the-
where?
Like in their
Like-
hip shirts and their shoulders and stuff.
Yeah, like if you've ever gone to Walmart and you've seen the superhero costumes they have during
Oh.
Halloween, and they have fake padding for all the kids to wear.
Well,
Like
yeah,
all their
I
shoulders
think-
were so stiff, and they were like thicker than the rest of the body, and you're like, yeah, that's padding for sure.
Yeah, I have been let down by the costume design of the alien creatures.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like humans wearing masks, and it just hasn't really been very convincing. I haven't been able to put my finger on it. What exactly bothers me? Because I mean, in original
the
Star
mouth.
Wars,
It's the mouth and the eyes. It's the human expression that they have to have, which is very difficult for the masks. You
Mhm.
can tell they're robotic mouths for the Trandoshans,
Mhm.
which because they're not like the Aqualish, where they don't really the Aqualish don't have human mouths, they just kind of make
Have a
noise.
hole.
Yeah. But because they speak basic, it's very tough to
Mhm.
pull that off. So I think all
Well,
things
yeah.
considered, and I didn't think we were really going to have many Trandoshans speak at all because
Yeah.
of that, which
Even
is why
just
I
have
think
them
we're not
just
going
like
to get
yell.
Bosk.
It's just odd to me that I know that a lot of different production companies think it's really cool when you make a great convincing mask and
Practical and
yeah,
such.
practical effects as they call it. But I just feel like at this point, if you're gonna have speaking parts and you got to make it some kind of CGI to make it look realistic. I mean, they did look real when they were still, but I know Star Wars traditionally has had real masks more or less outside of the prequels. It just didn't land for me.
Have you
know?
guys seen The Witcher 2 yet? I haven't seen it, but
Season
I saw
two?
season
Yeah.
2.
No.
You know the guy with the
The boarhead.
tusks?
Yeah.
So how they did that one was he had a mask his face was visible like this.
Mhm.
Well, it's just like the
Everything
Twi'leks.
around it was the practical mask.
Mhm.
But everything in here and the beard was all CG.
Yeah.
But granted, The Witcher's budget, I don't even know what The Witcher's budget is. I can imagine it's insane.
I mean, the Twi'leks look good because they have
Yeah.
human faces and then
yeah,
they have
it's
those
all in the
headdresses.
face. It's all in the
So,
face.
Yeah, I hope that maybe they can figure that out a little bit better. But that's a nitpick thing. It still was fine. I did love just seeing him just tear up the Trandoshans, and we know that Wookiees
Yeah.
hate Trandoshans because historically they've slaved them or enslaved
Yeah.
them. So I enjoyed seeing that. And then she tries to talk him off the ledge and like, no need to dismember him. Everyone knows you're
Fine.
awesome. You're fine.
We'll pay off your tab.
And he just goes, yeah. just rips it
Hands
off
her
and
the
throws
money.
it on the ground and just hands her the money. Oh, I
That's
love
funny.
it.
They definitely
good scene.
They Disneyed that up a little too much.
Yeah,
I
I
had
mean-
to kind of did he
Surprised
actually
we
rip
saw
his
Lost
arm
all
off,
in.
or did he just kind of like just twist his arm a little bit? I couldn't
Well, you
tell
see his
immediately.
arm fall off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
it
pulls it
literally
off.
is on the ground.
Mhm. But yeah, I would have liked. It's not like it popped off, like pop. I would
Like
have liked
they
to hear.
don't
it rip.
yeah, they show the arm falling, but they don't show like arm
yeah, they do.
separated from body.
Yeah, the
Oh,
body's
do
like
they?
8 feet away.
Well, no. I'm saying physically they don't
show, like, the
show
actual
him
split.
ripping the arm off.
Oh
It's
no,
like
you just see
the
like
side
the
angle
forearm
view.
up. Yeah.
I wanted like the Lego Star Wars when Chewie rips off the stormtroopers' arms. I wanted like that.
It was
Yeah.
interesting. So now he asks him to work for him, and I'm just like, why didn't you just do
Finally.
that originally?
That was what we were gonna get the like 2 episodes ago. I
Yeah,
don't know what's going on.
it was weird. Just like, oh well. But he came back, so apparently he
Because
just
what I
jogged
said-
to a cantina and was like, I'll just chill out here for a while. And then he offers him a job. So that'll be cool. I'm excited to see that team up. Speaking of team ups, I think we're going to start getting a lot more cameos the next 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Due to something Fennec Shan says, well, Boba says, as we're preparing for war, I've got plenty of credits, but no muscle.
Yep.
And she says, you can buy some muscle if you have enough credits. And then you hear,
Mandos.
dum, dum.
Yep.
So I had a comment on Star Wars theories, one of his posts.
That's what
And-
my. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Never mind.
And I don't think that Mando's not going to accept money. He's not going to be swayed by money for this venture. So I think Boba's going to have to emotionally connect with him to get him to do it. I don't think it's going to
Offer
be
him a
very
ship?
difficult. Maybe, yeah, maybe. I just don't see Mando saying, I'm the rightful ruler of Mandalore. I really need some credit, so I'll help you out.
Well, and we don't even know what really has happened since the end of season 2 of Mandalorian. Have him and Bo-Katan stayed friends and she accepts his rule? Have they been fighting over the last few months, for Mandalore? Has he tried to give it up to her? What has happened? So I hope we get some kind of like recap there. I think a couple things could happen. He could come in with a Mandalorian army to help him, which would be like insane overkill.
He could definitely, I definitely see him paying Mandalorians for sure.
That's what
hands
I was
down.
thinking.
I don't
Like,
think that's going to happen. I think he's going to hire Din Djarin to help. I mean, we've seen Din Djarin accept several jobs for money in previous episodes.
But that was before. That was when he needed money to.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to rule Mandalore.
What else is he gonna do right now?
He, you know what I mean? He doesn't want to rule Mandalore. He never really did. So
True, but I don't know. I just don't see him doing some errands.
he's done lots of errands
With what? Yeah, but that was before he had a dark saber and he was
Yeah.
working with an actual Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Now that he's learned what all that means, I think it's going to take a little more than just some credits.
You think he's got a little bit more on his plate to deal with?
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
He's busy.
CJ?
I was gonna say, I hope they don't get him. I think it would break the momentum that they have for season 3 of The Mandalorian to have him make a pit stop here. I just don't think it would fit. That maybe
I
they'll
definitely
do
think
some,
it's going to
like-
happen, CJ.
Yeah,
There's
The
there's
music
not a
is
fan of
too
that.
telling.
Yeah, there's no reason they'd bring him in without and have that music. There's no reason they'd have that music and not bring him in.
It is the Mandalorian music, so I would, at the very least, there definitely will be Mandalorians.
Yeah.
maybe that girl that he was arguing with, like, that
Bo-Katan?
didn't accept him because he was the side chick.
Casca, or
Oh,
no,
Yeah,
not
the one that didn't
Casca.
accept him because he
Yeah,
was like a
Casca
10th born
Reeves.
or whatever.
Maybe
Maybe it's
potentially.
her. I would be okay with her, but I hope it's not Din Djarin. I think that would be a poor choice.
There have also been rumors of Cad Bane and Bosk potentially being in this as well.
That's what I was thinking. Old
Yeah.
bounty hunters.
I'd love to see some stuff like that. I would not mind seeing that at all. I'd love to see Cad Bane. I think it'd be cool if
Uh,
even
He's
if
one
the
of my
Pikes,
favorites.
if the Pikes also hired some bounty hunters, you know, so we can see
I
some
think-
bounty hunter wars.
Please.
I think that's one of the things the show has missed, like in the present day
A
storyline,
true
is
villain.
having a defined guy to like that you respect, but that's the bad guy. Like Moff
Yeah.
Gideon was really good for the Mandalorian.
Yes.
Like you had a targeted. It was the Empire, but it was him
Mm-hmm.
specifically. And this show just hasn't done that yet.
No, it's like the Pikes. Very
Yeah,
vague.
and
The Pikes, we think.
Yeah.
we don't even like
Probably.
care about them really,
No.
honestly.
It definitely has. While I've enjoyed it, it's Star Wars, it's Boba Fett. It has not been an extremely well written show.
Yeah.
But a big theory out there is that this was a rushed production because of all the drama with what's the actor's name for Din
Gina
Djarin?
Carano.
No,
Who?
for the Mandalorian. Pedro
Pascal?
Pascal. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So after season 2, Pedro Pascal had a big fallout with Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
And there was
Really?
there was risk of season 3 never happening. So that got pushed 2 years. And a lot of people think that this was mid-production of season 2 or mid-airing of season 2 of Mandalorian. They decided, hey, let's go ahead and get something out next fall, and we'll make it
Yeah.
the Book of Boba Fett. So if that's the case, they had a rushed story that wasn't fully fleshed out, and it just kind of was thrown together. So that would kind of explain some of these things. I mean, there was a shot in episode 3 that was
Mhm.
I saw that you could see half the set, like the
Yeah,
Tatooine
when
buildings.
When he was after he
At
saw
the very
the
end.
biker, when he saw the Pikes and he was
Yes.
going around the corner,
Mhm.
you
Like,
see the
you can see the wooden plywood of the set, and I'm just like, oh, how does that happen?
I wonder
really?
if that's something they could easily fix. I
Oh,
wonder
I'm
if
sure
that's
it's probably already been
fixed by
patched. They
now.
took Gene Guy out in a day.
Gene guy.
My favorite.
That was the best.
There was a Gene guy.
Oh, you missed it.
Oh,
No.
it's gonna be on YouTube and stuff. Just
Yeah.
Google Mandalorian.
I'll look it up.
Gene
Yeah,
Guy, I guess.
Mandalorian Gene Guy.
It was the scene in
when
season 2,
with
right?
Bill Burr,
Yeah.
and they are getting the codes, and he has to take his mask off.
Yeah.
And right as they're leaving,
No,
they're like
No,
running
no, no,
down
no,
the
no,
hallway.
No.
Wasn't it at the table? They were in the Imperial
Because it's Mando,
area.
Gina, and
Oh, it's when they're storming
Uh,
the ship
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the finale.
yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
or
Yeah.
or so they're storming some. Maybe it's the
I
the
thought
one
it
where
was.
they go back to the planet with what's the
Yeah. That when they stole that speeder and they were shooting down the TIE fighters in the canyon.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yes, you're correct.
What's his name?
Bill Burr?
Wait,
No.
no. I got it. It's on the Lego set.
The Bounty Hunter Guild guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Never
Yep.
mind. It's buried. The
I'm looking at
actor's
him. I
name is
see
like,
his Lego character right in front of me.
the actor's name is
Well, I don't care what.
Weave?
I'm
It's
not
the
gonna
guy who
remember
it's the
that.
guy who plays
Grief.
Grief
Karga?
Karga.
Grief Karga. Yes, thank you.
Cool.
There you go.
I win.
He plays Apollo Creed in
Carl
Rocky.
Weathers.
Carl
not
Weathers.
Not
yes.
Weave. Not Weave.
Weathers Carl.
Oh,
So it appears he's gonna be hiring some people, and it should be a lot of fun. I think that we're gonna get a good finale. This definitely was. Here's our setup: 3 episodes of setting up the story, catching you up to what's going on, an episode to transfer into the final 3 episodes, which should be pretty interesting. I'm hoping. And this is a longer episode too, 45 minutes.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, and
see
the
that.
credits were, there was only about like maybe 6 minutes of credits. I was really surprised.
It's just still so much.
Usually it's
Credits
like
are
closer
6
to
minutes.
10.
It's ridiculous.
like 10 to 20 minutes. You sat through a Marvel movie and had to sit through the end. Not fun.
Here you go, Carl. Let's see if it'll.
It's not fun.
CJ Weathers. You're not on the camera, John.
Yeah. By the way, you cannot
there it
hit
is.
that.
Oh no,
webcam.
I know. He
You
was
see
in
no, right
Jesus?
here. Look at the back left. Behind him,
Oh,
Show it
right
again.
there. A cast member.
oh, that's funny. That's
John.
hilarious.
John can't find his webcam.
No, in my camera.
No,
this
we could see it now. It's fine.
I didn't realize what I was looking at.
All right.
That's all right.
Well, I'm looking forward to the final 3 episodes of the show. I think it should be a lot of fun. Hasn't been perfect, but I think it's trending in the right direction. Hopefully, some of these interesting characters will come up and bring us some good news and some good
It's-
interactions. Now that Boba's fully healed, hopefully we can see full-fledged, strengthened Boba.
It's been a unique story arc because we've got the 3 episodes on the front end, this transition episode, and the 3 episodes on the back end. So it's
It's a 2-act
kind of
story.
a unique, it's kind of a unique setup. Usually it's 2 episode arcs or 3 episode arcs.
Disney and
through
their
and through.
trilogies.
Yep.
But
All right,
And-
guys. Without any further ado, this has been the Rogue Podcast. May the Force be with you always.